Are your thoughts your own, or are they all inspired? We know that knowledge is power, and that power corrupts, yet most people believe that they can't be hypnotized, and nobody likes to be told when they're mistaken, being misled, manipulated, scammed or cheated, which is why we tend to shoot the messenger, the bearer of the bad news. Now, I don't mean to be condescending. I truly believe this to be a matter of life and death, and problems tend to get worse when we ignore them, so please hear me out and I'll show and tell what's worrying me and why I think it's important. In case I'm mistaken, then I hope to be informed with constructive criticism and maybe convinced otherwise by comparing evidence. I'm not looking to debate nor preach beliefs, but rather share information for consideration and conversation, because we tend to make better decisions when we're aware, well informed, and especially experienced. Now, since the 50s, in over 50 countries, we're being forced to consume toxins to supposedly combat climate change. Yet, when we're seeing such devastating fires and storms in the recent years, it's obviously not working, at least not for the said purposes. And with all due respect to those that do, I don't trust in the space agencies. Over 100 million per day they receive from our taxes could help end poverty and many illnesses. I'm no longer convinced by what they show on TV. After seeing what Marvel, Disney and Hollywood studios can cast, the moon landing is literally kid stuff. I've had first-hand experience of how hair moves freely underwater. I've watched videos of zero-G flights, and we've all seen the many wonders of hairspray. And there's many official recordings where we can see clear evidence of harnesses, bubbles and green screen glitches. Even the video of Red Bull's skydive from 39 kilometers altitude shows that the horizon always rises to the level of the observer, even when they used a fisheye lens outside and forgot about the 70% oceans. Rotating globes should have constantly morphing clouds, but then again, even NASA's designer, Robert Simmons, admitted that he photoshops our worldview to match the official narrative. Which is probably why we've never seen a weather report in real time, and even the satellites we find on the internet are all suspended in high altitude by balloon. Maybe it's just a coincidence that Stanley Kubrick, the movie director, worked with NASA, and sheer luck that Universal Studios was spot on with the logo in 1927. Unbelievable that they had such advanced technology and could predict the future, like BBC with Tower 7. So unless we've verified something with personal experience, maybe it's better to keep an open mind, because sadly people will misguide our beliefs to suit their agenda, and we're motivated and influenced to idolise and trust public figures and brands, and often take their advice without questioning their motives, and harsh truths hurt our pride, so we often submit to lies and accept excuses. So I like to promote making primary observations and comparing results instead of debating beliefs and secondary information. My favourite experiment is verifying if moonlight chills during the waning phase, which is 1 week within the full moon. You can simply use a glass of water and a thermometer, or you can compare wet and snow surface temperatures. A dry surface is a negative control, and avoid other misreadings like radiative cooling by comparing the moonlight to unsheltered shaded areas, and manipulate the effect even more with a magnifying glass to confirm the independent variable. Sadly, many false prophets will lie to support their claims and source of income. But, thanks to the scientific method, with repetition, we can reduce those false variables too. Sadly, some have even tried to swindle my invitation for tender with threats and harassment, and I've had enough. Because there's reproducible evidence of atmospheric conditions affecting visibility, and there's reproducible evidence of the laws of perspective and angular resolution affecting visibility. But it seems that no matter the distance, we never observe a visible loss of landscape due to curvature. Here I am in Benidorm Beach, looking at the streetlights of San Juan beachfront 20 miles away at water level, making this reproducible observation irrefutable evidence that we're being lied to about the dimensions of where we live. The zodiac hasn't suffered any disfiguration over thousands of years, and all the ancient sites around the world still align with particular stars, which suggests that they're more important influence to our reality than we're taught to believe. The images and definitions that we're taught to believe in contradict what we observe ourselves. Scientific apparatus confirms that we should trust our eyes and use our common sense. The twinkles of visual frequencies like cymatic patterns, messages in the angles of light, angels, hence why the Vatican owns so many telescopes and observatories, the biggest one being called Lucifer. Even with the naked eye we can see Venus bright in the blue sky during sunrise and sunsets. There's so much reproducible evidence of visual symbols, keys between our dimensions, and conscious understanding and manipulation of acoustic and electromagnetic levitation is most likely how the old world order made such majestic constructions, just like nature. And if we are 70% water like Earth, then we're all suffering from any type of distortion. The right notes can animate matter to look alive. Feel the beat. That's the spirit. And most religious buildings, and even CERN, have applied the knowledge to their technology, and any good web designer will agree that the more you understand the code, the better you can program. The importance of sacred geometry has been engraved worldwide, and many quote-unquote temples have no space for prayer or mass, but do have antennas and pillars to harness energy. There is also evidence all around the world of a worldwide flood, shaping the landscape and leaving petrified organs in dry riverbeds and along coastlines, petrified trees upright that debunk rock dating, and even titans lying around everywhere, proving that premineralization can happen much quicker than we're told. Just look at Pompeii and research Girolamo Segato. The CIA documents detailing how they discredit opposing views of conspiracy theories even if they're true. That's because propaganda persuades us to not take counter-evidence seriously. It blurs historical facts to suit his story. Hypnotists can induce a state of trance by getting you to focus on their actions or voice so much that we mistake it for our own idea, subconscious, like autopilot. And marketing plays on our insecurities and desires, encouraging us to consume their products, service, or ideology. Authorities play on our emotions to justify their plans using guilt, shame, fear-mongering, creating a problem with a solution like the antivirus software companies, offering multiple choices to distract us from the other options that still exist, and predictive programming causes us to accept our fate without question. Dates and numbers seem to have a great importance to the mass hypnosis. Evidence of intelligent design is suppressed, and we're rewarded for regurgitating fairy tales that are full of conundrums. The Luciferian philosophy is to do as thou wilt. You can be as gods, even though consent and tolerance is often manipulated. Many world leaders openly attend satanic rituals, probably because they are too delusional and have either sold out or been bought into it. And MKUltra is just one of the programs that we know about, where for decades innocent people have been subjected to electric shock treatments, LSD and other psychedelics, audio and visual repetition, as well as other sensory deprivation and excess experiments. There are experiments to show how we can all suffer from cognitive dissonance and selective attention, making us unable to see the truth at plain sight, and sometimes even defend the perpetrator of Stockholm Syndrome. And the story Lord of the Flies is about the studies that show how with fear and peer pressure we can obtain a pack mentality and conform to belong, follow the fashion, as it's been made easier to be in the popular cult than stand out uncool fool. Negative and positive priming install emotions that should be triggered at a later date for a desired reaction. Authority and experience can cause us to be numb and desensitized. Our surroundings and company can rub onto our character, which alter our perspective and moral compass. Iron sharpens iron.
A child molesting robot. What you do is you start by building a regular robot, then you molest it and note that it continues the cycle.
Why is the age of consent just 12 years of age in the Vatican City if they all took a vow of celibacy? And why are all the politicians, royals and celebrities somehow related to each other? And it looks like most of them are members of secret societies also. Or is it that they just have bad circulation and all suffer with a cold right hand? People who practice meditation, energy healing, and channeling use mudras, which are hand gestures that invoke different frequencies like antennas. Symbols speak to us subconscious, persuading us to focus on them and their desires, misleading us with mystery, temptation, and a sense of security. Where does evil reside? Maybe inside our lust, greed, and pride? In India, Asia, and the medical industries, the serpent energy known as the Kundalini wants you to kill the ego, the conscious self, and go with the flow. Could this be the same seducing serpent that wants to control your soul identity, experience, and influence that is mentioned in the book of Genesis?
Elementary particles are not tiny, tiny little balls that are actually moving through space. They're more properly described as waves. And an electron does not exist in only one location around an atom. It actually exists as a wave. And what that means is that there are volumes around the nucleus of an atom that an electron will fill in. A single electron can actually be an entire sphere around the nucleus of an atom, or these orbitals as we call them. But again, I caution you, nothing's actually moving around like a planet around a star. Some of these orbitals are shaped like dumbbells, and a single electron actually fills out a volume that looks like a dumbbell, or sometimes they look like a disc.
Magnetism shows a plane of inertia that organises itself by the golden ratio of construction, phi. And the star in the jar experiment also shows how the right frequencies can create light. So my understanding of the face of Earth, the layout of the continents, being the material plane that we see in cymatics as the nucleus in an atom, and the magnetic field separating the water from our macro atmosphere, like clockwork, and also it's an anagram for heart, so keeping the beat or pulse, maybe like a battery. So I'm not a flat earther preaching beliefs, I'm a globe skeptic because I see more evidence and sense in Earth being multidimensional, the yin-yang symbol just being a 2D interpretation to help understand the true nature of our shared reality. Magnets also reproduce what we observe in the macrocosm. And moon phases and seasons can all be explained easily. It could be that we're discarding simple truths for overcomplicated lies. The globe model can't explain a worldwide flood as good as a geocentric multi-dimensional Earth, which cannot be denied when seeing the upright tree trunk throughout layers of density and many underground cities and excavated ancient ruins.
Our goal is to promote authoritative content to our users. So we have two principles that guide the way here. That's the first one, is we want to provide users with authoritative, trustworthy information.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I only have a minute and a half, and I don't really need to hear what you're trying to provide. I want to know how you're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
So the first way is by demoting low-quality content.
So if it's not broke, then don't fix it. Because it seems that spirals, countdowns, certain music and flicker rates are just some of the things that cause our brainwaves to alter from beta to alpha, inducing us into a state of suggestion without critical thinking. So please be aware and take care of yourself and others. And please do leave a comment if there's anything you disagree with. I'm always open to constructive criticism and ready to change my mind if stronger evidence is provided. Thank you.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.